The Galactic Assassins Guild. The neon-lit streets of Xylox Prime buzzed with activity as beings from 100 different worlds hurried about their business. Amidst the chaos, a hooded figure slipped through the crowds, its movements fluid and purposeful. This was Zarnik, one of the most feared assassins in the known galaxy. Zarnik's destination was a seedy bar tucked away in the planet's underbelly. As he entered, the patrons fell silent, their eyes following his every move. He made his way to a secluded booth where a nervous-looking Traxian waited. "You're late," the Traxian hissed, his tentacles twitching with anxiety. Zarnik's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "I arrive precisely when I mean to, Glox. Now, what's this job you've called me here for?" Glox leaned forward, lowering his voice. "I need you to eliminate a human." The assassin's compound eyes widened, and he let out a harsh, clicking laugh. "A human? You can't be serious." "I am entirely serious," Glox insisted. "This human has been causing problems for my business. I want them gone." Zarnik's laughter ceased abruptly. "No. No. What do you mean, no? I'm offering triple your usual fee." The assassin's chitinous exoskeleton seemed to darken as he leaned closer to Glox. "Listen carefully, you simpleton. The Galactic Assassins Guild has one absolute rule. We don't kill humans." Glox's bioluminescent patches pulsed with confusion. "But why? They're just another species. Surely they can't be that difficult to eliminate." Zarnik sighed, a sound like sandpaper rubbing together. "You're new to this part of the galaxy, aren't you? Let me educate you on why we don't take contracts on humans." The assassin ordered 2 drinks from a passing server bot, then settled back in his seat. It all started about 50 Earth years ago. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic scene. They'd made first contact, joined the Galactic Council, and were beginning to establish colonies on other worlds. At first, we didn't think much of them. They seemed fragile compared to many other species. Their lifespans were short, their bodies easily damaged. But we quickly learned that appearances can be deceiving. Zarnik took a sip of his drink, his mandibles working carefully around the glass. The first assassin to take a contract on a human was Vextor the Silent. He was one of our best. Could kill a Kronan battle master in its sleep without making a sound. The target was a human diplomat named Sarah Chen. Vextor followed her for days, learning her routines, planning the perfect moment to strike. When he finally made his move, he thought it would be quick and clean. Instead, Sarah Chen broke his arm in 3 places, dislocated his shoulder, and left him tied up for the authorities. Glox's eye stalks twitched in disbelief. One human female defeated Vextor the Silent. "Oh, it gets better," Zarnik continued. "The next attempt was made by the Toxin twins. They tried to poison a human business tycoon named Marcus Blackwood. They used a neurotoxin that could kill a Jergorian whale. Want to know what happened?" Glox nodded, entranced by the story. Blackwood complained of mild indigestion, took some antacids, and went about his day. The Toxin twins were so shocked they revealed themselves, trying to understand how he survived. Blackwood's security team captured them within minutes. The Traxian's tentacles curled in confusion. But how? Zarnik leaned back, his compound eyes reflecting the dim light of the bar. "That's the thing about humans. They're not the strongest, or the fastest, or even the smartest, but they're the most adaptable species we've ever encountered. Their bodies can process toxins that would kill most other species. They can survive in environments that would be lethal to others. And their minds are something else entirely." After those initial failures, the Guild decided to study humans more closely. We learned that their homeworld, Earth, is what most species would consider a death world. Extreme temperature variations, dangerous wildlife, natural disasters. Humans evolved to survive all of it. But it's not just their physical resilience that makes them dangerous. It's their creativity, their ability to think outside the box. Every time we came up with a new method to eliminate a human target, they'd find some unexpected way to survive and turn the tables on us. Glox's bioluminescent patches pulsed rapidly as he processed this information. Surely there must be some way to kill them reliably. Czarnik's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Oh, there is. Overwhelming force usually does the trick. Drop a neutron bomb on them from orbit, that sort of thing. But here's the catch. If you succeed in killing a human, especially through such extreme measures, you'd better have the fastest ship in the galaxy and a hiding place in another dimension. Why? Glox asked, his voice barely a whisper. Because the other humans will come for you, Czarnik said, his voice deadly serious. They call it human tenacity, but I call it madness. They don't stop. They don't give up. If you kill one of their own, they will hunt you to the ends of the universe. And they're frighteningly good at it. The assassin finished his drink and stood up. So, no, Glox. I won't take your contract. No member of the Galactic Assassins Guild will. We've learned our lesson. Humans are off limits. As Czarnik turned to leave, Glox called out, "Wait, what am I supposed to do about my problem then?" The assassin paused, looking back over his shoulder. "My advice, make peace with the human. Offer them a deal. Form a partnership. Humans can be reasonable if you approach them the right way. And trust me, you'd much rather have them as allies than enemies." With that, Czarnik melted back into the crowd, leaving a stunned Glox to ponder the unexpected lesson in galactic politics and survival. As the assassin made his way back to his ship, he couldn't help but chuckle to himself. Humans, with all their contradictions and surprises, had changed the face of galactic society in ways they probably didn't even realize. And as much as they sometimes terrified him, Czarnik had to admit, life in the galaxy was far more interesting with humans around. The human enigma. The sleek, silver spacecraft cut through the star-studded void of space, its destination the bustling trade hub of Nexus Station. Inside the ship's plush cabin, Glox, the Traxian, nervously fiddled with his tentacles, still mulling over his conversation with Czarnik. "Approaching Nexus Station, sir," the ship's AI announced. "Docking procedures initiated." Glox acknowledged the AI and steeled himself for what was to come. If he couldn't eliminate the human problem, he'd have to find another solution, and that meant facing the human directly. As he disembarked, the cacophony of Nexus Station assaulted his senses. Beings from across the galaxy haggled, argued, and conducted business in a dizzying array of languages. Glox made his way through the crowded corridors, his destination a small office in the station's commercial district. The door slid open as he approached, revealing a surprisingly Spartan room. Behind a simple desk sat the human who had been causing him so much trouble, Alexis Chen, independent trader and thorn in Glox's side. "Ah, Glox," Alexis said, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "I was wondering when you'd show up. Please, have a seat." The Traxian settled into a chair designed to accommodate various alien physiologies. "Ms. Chen, I believe we need to discuss our business arrangements." Alexis leaned back, her dark eyes studying Glox intently. "Indeed we do. But first, let me guess, you tried to have me killed, didn't you?" Glox's bioluminescent patches flared in shock. "How did you?" "Oh, please," Alexis chuckled. "It's a tale as old as interstellar trade. Competitor becomes too successful, someone decides to take the easy way out. But let me tell you something, Glox. I've survived attempts by professionals far more competent than whoever you might have hired." The Traxian's tentacles curled in embarrassment and fear. I didn't actually hire anyone. The assassin refused the job." This seemed to pique Alexis's interest. "Really? Well, that's a first. Usually, I have to teach them the error of their ways personally. So, what changed your mind?" Glox recounted his conversation with Czarnik, watching as Alexis' expression shifted from amusement to thoughtfulness. "Interesting," she mused when he finished. "It seems our reputation precedes us. But Glocks, did you ever stop to consider why I've been so successful in markets you once dominated? The Traxian's eye stalk swiveled in confusion. Your prices are impossibly low. You must be operating at a loss, undercutting everyone just to drive us out of business. Alexis sighed, shaking her head. That's short-term thinking, my friend. I'm not here to drive anyone out of business. I'm here to expand the market for everyone. She stood up and walked to a large view screen on the wall, activating it with a gesture. A complex web of trade routes and economic data filled the screen. Look here, she said, pointing to a series of nodes. These are the traditional trade routes your company has used for centuries. Stable, predictable, profitable, but also stagnant. With another gesture, new lines and nodes appeared on the map, pulsing with energy. These are the new routes and markets I've been developing. Yes, the initial profits are lower, but look at the growth potential. Glock studied the map, his clever Traxian mind beginning to see patterns he'd missed before. But how? Some of these routes pass through areas we've always considered too dangerous or unprofitable. Alexis smiled. That's where human ingenuity comes in. We don't just accept things as they are. We're always looking for ways to overcome obstacles, to turn disadvantages into advantages. She zoomed in on one particular route. Take this path through the Vortex Nebula. Your ships can't navigate it because the electromagnetic interference disrupts your sensors. Right. Glocks nodded, remembering the disastrous attempts his company had made to chart the nebula. Well, Alexis continued, we developed a new navigation system that actually uses the electromagnetic fluctuations as guideposts. It's not only safer than traditional methods in the nebula, but it's also faster. The Traxian's mind reeled at the implications, but the development costs for such a system must have been astronomical. They were, Alexis admitted, but that's another thing about humans. We're willing to take risks to invest in the future, and we're not afraid to learn from our failures. She sat back down, fixing Glocks with an intense gaze. Which brings me to why I wanted to meet with you. Glocks, I'm not here to run you out of business. I want to partner with you. Partner. Glocks's voice was a mixture of surprise and suspicion. Alexis nodded. Think about it. You have centuries of experience in these markets, established relationships with clients. What you lack is the innovation, the drive to expand beyond your comfort zone. That's what I bring to the table. She leaned forward, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. Together, we could revolutionize trade in this sector. Your stability combined with human adaptability and creativity. We could open up markets neither of us could reach alone. Glocks's mind raced, seeing the possibilities unfold before him. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. But why offer this now? Why not just crush us and take over? Alex's expression softened. Because that's not how humans operate. At least, not the best of us. We believe in cooperation, in lifting each other up. Yes, we compete, but we also understand that true progress comes from working together, from combining diverse strengths and perspectives. She extended her hand across the desk. So, what do you say, Glocks? Partners. The Traxian looked at the offered hand, then back at Alexis's face. He saw determination there, but also sincerity and a spark of something he was beginning to recognize as uniquely human hope. Slowly, he extended a tentacle, wrapping it gently around Alexis's hand. Partners, he agreed. As they shook on their new agreement, Glocks couldn't help but marvel at the strange turns his life had taken. He had come here expecting to find a way to eliminate a rival. Instead, he was embarking on a partnership that could change the face of galactic trade. And as Alexis began excitedly outlining her plans for their joint venture, Glocks finally understood what Karnik had meant. Humans weren't just dangerous because they were hard to kill. They were dangerous and wonderful because they could take the most unexpected situations and turn them into opportunities. The galaxy, Glocks realized, was in for some interesting times with humans taking a more active role. And for the first time in a long while, he found himself looking forward to the future with genuine excitement. Rebellion and resistance. The Galactic Council chambers buzzed with tension. Representatives from 100 different species filled the vast, domed room, their voices a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and rumbles. At the center of it all stood Alexis Chen, her face set in grim determination. Order. Order. The council elder, a wizened Arcturian, banged his gavel. The noise gradually subsided, all eyes turning to the lone human in the room. "Thank you, Elder," Alexis said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "Esteemed members of the council, I come before you today with grave news. The Joix Imperium has launched an unprovoked attack on the human colony of New Eden." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Joix were a relatively new power in the galaxy, aggressive and expansionist. Their representative, a towering insectoid creature, chittered angrily. "Lies. The humans encroached on our territory. We merely defended what is rightfully ours." Alexis's eyes narrowed. "I have here," she said, activating a holographic display, "irrefutable evidence of Joix warships entering New Eden space well before any supposed encroachment. This was a premeditated attack aimed at testing humanity's resolve and the Council's response." As the evidence played out before them, many of the representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Joix delegate's mandibles clicked furiously, but he remained silent. The Joix believed that because New Eden is one of our newer, more isolated colonies, it would be an easy target, Alexis continued. "They thought we would be slow to respond, that the colony would fall quickly. They were wrong." She brought up new images showing the aftermath of the battle. The council gasped collectively at the sight of destroyed Joix ships littering the space around New Eden. "How?" The Arcturian elder leaned forward, his bioluminescent eyes wide with surprise. New Eden was supposed to be a peaceful agricultural colony. How did they repel such an attack? A small smile played at the corners of Alexis' mouth. "That, elder, is a story best told by someone who was there. With the Council's permission, I'd like to introduce Captain Sarah Chen of the New Eden Defense Force." A murmur of recognition went through the chamber. Many remembered the name from the stories of the first human to defeat a galactic assassin. Now much older, Sarah Chen's hologram appeared next to Alexis, her weathered face bearing the marks of a life lived on the frontier. "Greetings, Council," Sarah said, her voice strong despite her years. "What my granddaughter Alexis hasn't told you is that New Eden was more than just a farming colony. It was an experiment in human resilience and adaptability." She brought up her own set of holograms, showing the colony's defenses. "When we established New Eden, we knew we were pushing into contested space, so we came prepared. Every colonist was also a trained militia member. Our farms doubled as fortifications. Our tractors could be quickly converted into mobile artillery platforms." The council watched in amazement as the holograms demonstrated the colony's rapid transformation from a peaceful settlement to a formidable fortress. "But our real advantage," Sarah continued, "was our unpredictability. The Joix expected an easy victory over simple farmers. Instead, they faced a united, determined population using tactics they'd never encountered before." She showed footage of the battle, colonists using their intimate knowledge of the terrain to ambush much larger Joix forces. Improvised weapons and repurposed farming equipment proved surprisingly effective against the invaders' advanced technology. "We didn't just repel the Joix," Sarah said, her voice filled with pride. "We captured several of their ships intact, including one of their command vessels. The intel we've gathered will be crucial in understanding and countering their future moves." The council chamber erupted in excited chatter. The Joix representative, looking decidedly uncomfortable, tried to interject. "This is an outrage. The humans are clearly more militarized than they've led us to believe. They are a threat to galactic peace." Alexis stepped forward again. "No," she said firmly. "We are a safeguard for galactic peace. Humanity doesn't seek war, but we will always be prepared to defend ourselves and our allies. Which brings me to the real reason I'm here today. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council member. The Joix attack on New Eden is just the beginning. We've uncovered plans for a massive expansion, threatening not just human colonies, but many of your worlds as well. Alexis brought up a galactic map showing the Joix's planned conquest. Gasps and cries of alarm filled the chamber as various representatives saw their homeworlds marked as targets. "We stand at a crossroads," Alexis declared. "We can either watch as the Joix slowly pick us off one by one, or we can stand united against their aggression. Humanity is ready to lead this fight, but we can't do it alone. We need a coalition, a united front against those who would threaten our collective peace and freedom." The chamber fell silent as the council members contemplated her words. Then, slowly, one by one, they began to stand. The Traxian representative, Glox, was the first to speak. "Humanity has shown us the power of adaptation and cooperation. The Traxian Confederation stands with Earth." Others quickly followed suit. The Arcturian elder nodded solemnly. "For too long, we have relied on outdated protocols and bureaucracy to maintain peace. Perhaps it's time we learned from humanity's example. The Arcturian syndicates will join your coalition." As more and more representatives pledged their support, the Joix delegate found himself increasingly isolated. With a final angry chitter, he stormed out of the chamber. Alexis watched him go, her expression a mixture of determination and regret. She hadn't wanted it to come to this, but humanity was ready. They had learned from their own long, bloody history that freedom often came at a price, but it was always worth fighting for. As the newly formed coalition began to discuss strategy, Alexis caught her grandmother's eye. Sarah gave her a proud nod, then winked out of existence as her hologram disappeared. Alexis took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity was truly capable of when pushed to the brink, and she would make damn sure that it was a lesson no one would ever forget. The turning tide. The war against the Joix Imperium had raged for 2 grueling years. Across the galaxy, worlds burned and civilizations teetered on the brink of collapse. The coalition, led by humanity, had suffered heavy losses, but they had also dealt significant blows to the Joix war machine. On the bridge of the ESS Prometheus, Earth's most advanced battleship, Admiral Alexis Chen stood before a holographic display of the latest battle plans. Her face, etched with new lines of worry and determination, was illuminated by the soft blue glow of the projections. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of countless difficult decisions. Her XO, a tall Arcturian named Zoller, stepped forward. "The Joix have pushed back our forces in the Orion Arm, Admiral. They've taken control of the Centauri Gateway." Alexis's jaw tightened. The Centauri Gateway was a crucial strategic point, a nexus of wormholes that could allow the Joix to strike at the heart of Coalition space. "What about Project Lazarus?" she asked, turning to the ship's AI interface. A shimmering hologram of a human face appeared. "Project Lazarus is at 89% completion, Admiral. Dr. Mabake estimates another 48 hours before it's ready for deployment." Alexis nodded, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Project Lazarus was humanity's ace in the hole, a weapon that could turn the tide of the war. But they needed to buy more time. "All right," she said, addressing her command staff. "We can't let the Joix consolidate their hold on the gateway. We're going to launch a counterattack." Her officers looked at her in surprise. "But Admiral," Zyler protested, "we don't have the ships to mount a full-scale assault." A small, determined smile played at the corners of Alexis's mouth. "Who said anything about a full-scale assault? We're going to use what the Joix consider our greatest weakness against them, our unpredictability." Over the next hour, Alexis outlined her plan. It was audacious, borderline insane by the standards of traditional space warfare, but that was exactly why it might work. As the Prometheus and its small fleet of ships dropped out of FTL near the Centauri Gateway, alarms blared across the Joix fleet. The insectoid aliens scrambled to battle stations, expecting a frontal assault. Instead, they watched in confusion as the human ships began to emit a strange, pulsating energy field. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Alexis gave the order. Activate the Pied Piper protocol. The energy field intensified, and suddenly, the vast swarm of automated defense drones surrounding the Joix fleet began to behave erratically. Thousands of the small, deadly machines broke formation, turning on their own ships. By the Hive Queen, the Joix commander chittered in disbelief. What sorcery is this? But it wasn't sorcery. It was the result of months of careful study of captured Joix technology, combined with humanity's expertise in electronic warfare. The Pied Piper protocol exploited a fundamental flaw in the Joix drone control systems, one that the aliens had never considered because it required a level of improvisation foreign to their rigid, hive mind thinking. As chaos engulfed the Joix fleet, Alexis pressed the advantage. All ships, commence attack pattern Omega. Fly casual. The coalition fleet surged forward, but not in the tight, orderly formation the Joix expected. Instead, each ship followed in seemingly random, erratic path. Joix targeting systems, designed to predict enemy movements based on standard tactical doctrines, couldn't get a lock. On board the Prometheus, Zilar watched in awe as human pilots pulled off maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. How are they doing that? He asked, his bioluminescent eyes wide with wonder. Alexis allowed herself a proud smile. We've been holding back, Zilar. Those aren't normal pilots. They're a new breed we've been training in secret, humans with neural links to their ships. They don't fly their vessels, they become their vessels. The battle raged for hours, a chaotic dance of light and destruction. Slowly but surely, the coalition forces pushed back the Joix, reclaiming the Centauri Gateway. As the last Joix dreadnought fell, a cheer went up across the coalition fleet. But Alexis knew this was just the beginning. Admiral, the ship's AI interrupted. We're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. It's Dr. Meek. Alexis's heart raced. Put her through. The holographic face of Dr. Adana Mbik, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, appeared before her. The scientist's eyes shone with excitement. We did it, Alexis, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. Project Lazarus is ready. Alexis let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. You're sure it will work? Dr. Mbik nodded confidently. We've run every possible simulation. The Lazarus virus will infect the Joix hive mind, but it won't harm them. Instead, it will awaken them. The implications of this were staggering. The Lazarus virus, named after the biblical figure raised from the dead, was designed to break the Joix free from their hive mind conditioning. It would grant them individual consciousness, the ability to think and feel as individuals rather than as mere extensions of their queen. And you're certain this won't just drive them insane? Alexis asked, voicing her deepest fear about the project. There will be confusion, certainly, Dr. Mbik admitted, but we've built in safeguards. The virus will gradually awaken their individuality, while also imparting a deep aversion to violence. We're not just stopping the Joix, Alexis. We're giving them the chance to rediscover who they are as a species. Alexis closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the decision before her. This wasn't just about winning a war. It was about fundamentally changing an entire species. The ethical implications were enormous. But as she opened her eyes and looked out at the starfield beyond her ship, at the worlds that had suffered under Joix aggression, she knew there was no other choice. Do it, she said softly. Initiate Project Lazarus. As Dr. Mbik's hologram winked out, Alexis turned to her crew. Their faces showed a mixture of hope and apprehension, mirroring her own feelings. Send word to all coalition forces, she ordered. Fall back to defensive positions and prepare for possible confusion among enemy forces. And let's hope that in giving the Joix their humanity, we don't lose our own. As the orders were relayed, Alexis stared out into the vast expanse of space. Humanity had come so far, faced so many challenges. Now they stood on the brink of not just ending a war, but potentially reshaping the future of the galaxy. Whatever happened next, Alexis knew one thing for certain: the universe would never be the same again. A new galactic order. 5 years had passed since the deployment of Project Lazarus. The galaxy, once torn apart by the Joix War, was slowly healing. On the newly established neutral space station Unity, representatives from across the known universe gathered for a historic summit. Admiral Alexis Chen, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, stood at the podium, surveying the diverse assembly before her. The chamber was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes, from the towering Arcturians to the diminutive Traxians. But what caught her eye were the Joix delegates, their once rigid postures now more relaxed, their compound eyes gleaming with a newfound sense of individuality. "Fellow sentients," Alexis began, her voice carrying the weight of years of struggle and hard-won wisdom. "We stand here today, not as conquerors or the conquered, but as equals, united in our desire for peace and progress." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. 5 years ago, we faced extinction. The Joix Imperium threatened to consume us all. But in our darkest hour, we discovered a truth that has forever changed the course of galactic history. Alexis gestured towards the Joix delegates. "We learned that even our greatest enemies could become our strongest allies, if only given the chance to see the world through new eyes." Kazara, the lead Joix representative, stepped forward. Once a fearsome warrior drone, she now moved with a grace born of self-awareness. "Ambassador Chen speaks the truth," she chittered, her translator conveying the emotion in her voice. "The Lazarus Project did not destroy us, as we feared. It freed us." A murmur ran through the assembly. Many still found it hard to reconcile the peaceful Joix of today with the relentless swarm that had nearly conquered the galaxy. "We were slaves," Tazera continued, "bound by a hive mind that suppressed our individuality. We knew only conquest and expansion. But now we have discovered the joy of personal choice, of art, of love." She turned to Alexis, her compound eyes somehow conveying gratitude. "Humanity gave us this gift, at great risk to themselves. We can never fully repay this debt, but we can strive to be worthy of the second chance we've been given." Alexis nodded, a small smile on her face. "The path to this moment has not been easy," she said, addressing the chamber once more. "The awakening of the Joix brought chaos before it brought peace. We've all had to adapt, to challenge our preconceptions about one another." She brought up a holographic display, showing the progress made over the past 5 years. Former Joix warships, converted into scientific vessels, exploring the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Joint colonies where humans worked alongside Arcturians, Traxians, and even Joix, combining their unique strengths to terraform inhospitable worlds. But through it all, Alexis continued, "We've held on to the principles that guided us through the darkest days of the war. Adaptability, creativity, and above all, the belief that every sentient being deserves the chance to chart their own destiny." She turned to a specific section of the audience, where Kazarnik, the former assassin, sat alongside other members of the now reformed Galactic Peacekeepers. "We've learned that true strength lies not in our ability to harm, but in our capacity to heal, to understand, to forgive." Kazarnik nodded solemnly, his mandibles clicking in agreement. The Peacekeepers, once a guild of assassins, now served as mediators and protectors, using their skills to maintain the fragile peace. "And so," Alexis said, her voice rising with passion, "I stand before you today to propose a new galactic order. Not an empire, not a confederation, but a true union of free peoples. A galactic alliance founded on the principles of mutual respect, shared knowledge, and collective progress." She outlined her vision: a decentralized yet united galaxy where each species could maintain its unique culture while contributing to the greater good. Joint scientific endeavors, open trade agreements, and a collective defense pact that would make any future would-be conquerors think twice. As Alexis spoke, she could see the excitement building in the chamber. Even the most conservative representatives leaned forward, caught up in the possibility of a truly united galaxy. There will be challenges, Alexis acknowledged as she neared the end of her speech. Old prejudices die hard, and the scars of war do not fade overnight. But I believe that the trials we've faced have prepared us for this moment. She looked out over the assembled representatives, making eye contact with as many as she could. In the darkest days of the war, humanity's greatest strength was not our weapons or our strategies. It was our hope, our unshakable belief that a better future was possible, if only we were brave enough to fight for it. Alexis's voice softened, filled with determination. Today, I ask you to share in that hope, to take the first steps towards a future where our children will look to the stars not with fear, but with wonder, where the diversity of life in our galaxy is celebrated, not feared, where we stand united, not in conquest, but in our shared quest for knowledge and understanding. She spread her arms wide, encompassing the entire chamber. The choice is yours. Will you join us in building this new future? For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then, slowly at first, but with growing enthusiasm, the representatives began to stand. Cheers and applause filled the air, a cacophony of diverse voices united in hope. As Alexis watched the historic moment unfold, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see her grandmother, Sarah Chen, smiling proudly. Though Sarah had retired years ago, she had insisted on being present for this moment. "Not bad, kid," Sarah said, her eyes twinkling. "When I punched that assassin all those years ago, I never imagined it would lead to this." Alexis laughed, feeling the weight of responsibility lift, if only for a moment. "Well, you always said humans had a knack for the unexpected." As they looked out over the celebrating assembly, Alexis couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Humanity had faced extinction, adapted, and emerged stronger. They had turned enemies into allies and reshaped the very fabric of galactic society. Yet she knew this was just the beginning. Out there in the vast expanse of the universe, new challenges and wonders awaited. But whatever the future held, Alexis was certain of one thing: humanity, and their new allies, would face it together. The stars, once a battlefield, now beckoned with the promise of endless possibilities, and the galaxy would never be the same again.